Guys, welcome to the Voiceless voice guide. If you have skipped this pack and don't play this deck, then I greet you. I have much respect for you, but if you have crafted the deck like I did, then I want to explain to you how you play this deck. It's not very hard deck to play. It's very easy to understand. I will show you the basic low combo, then we will look at the diviner combo, and then I will show you another combo that you can do with a low and the Salamanca Almiraj together with the secure guardner. And along the way, I will explain a few of the most important cards here, and then you will understand how this deck works. It's really not that hard. So let's say we have a low here, right? This is one of our good normal summons. Diviner is better, but let's say low, right? We go low, activate here, and what you want to set here is your Barrier of the Voiceless Voice. If you have the Barrier of the Voiceless Voice already in the hand, you can also go ahead and set the Blessing or the Trap, but there are other ways that you can go. So you basically, if you want to, can get one of these here to the field on your opponent's turn, so keep this in mind. I would say if you have the Barrier already, set the Trap, because the Trap can either shuffle one light ritual monster, warrior or dragon, or one ritual spell from your hand or graveyard into the deck. This is not hard to achieve. And if you do add to your hand or special summon one Voiceless Voice monster from your deck, this is nice because on your opponent's turn you can, for example, special the Sauravis, which you can also see on the card art here, and he can then tag himself out for example, a Sauravis, but I will show you this in a second here. This can also destroy monsters on the field up to the number of light ritual monsters, warrior or dragon, which is another interruption. And then we have the Blessing of the Voiceless Voice, which says that we can target one of our Voiceless cards in graveyard or banished and can add it back to the hand, thereby functioning as a tool to grab our resources back. And if a non-ritual monster is normal or special summoned, we will see this in the other combo, then we can also ritual summon again, which is quite nice. But all in all, the Barrier is the best, then normally the Radiance, and then the Blessing. But we will set the Barrier here. Barrier is the core card, which says, firstly, during your main phase, you can add one Voiceless Voice card or one Skull Guardian ritual monster from your deck to your hand. This can add everything Voiceless Voice. This is quite nice. And then again, while you control low the prayers of the Voiceless Voice and the light ritual monster, so either the Sauravis or our Skull Guardian, your opponent monsters can only target ritual monsters for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target light monsters you control with card effects. So this saves your low because low only has 50 attack, but that's not a problem because she's protected when the big boss monster is on the field. So we will use the Barrier of the Voiceless Voice here. A card that you definitely want to grab to your hand is the Zafira, Dragon Queen of the Voiceless Voice. Maybe the strongest card in the entire deck. We can discard this card, send one ritual spell from our deck to the graveyard, then you can add one ritual, light ritual monster, a warrior or dragon from your deck or graveyard, very important here, to our hand. In this case, we will send the ritual spell to the graveyard, and then we can also add the Skull Guardian to our hand. We could have also added the Sauravis here, but we have it in hand already. And you might be wondering, okay, the ritual spell is in the graveyard now, what are we doing here? The Zafira also has the second effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, ritual summon one light ritual monster from your hand by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster here. So this is like a ritual card in the graveyard here. This is super, super nice. And one thing to mention here is that the prayers of the Voiceless Voice, if you want to ritual summon with this card, you will need to ritual summon with light monsters. Whereas the Zafira, you can also ritual summon with non-light monsters. So for example, we could use our Nibiru here, and this is what I talked about in the deck list, which is a rank 11. We could use Nibiru for the entire tribute of our Skull Guardian. It's level 7, but in this case, we will activate the Zafira here. It banishes itself, and this is where the other Voiceless Voice card, the one that can return stuff to our hand, comes in handy, because for example, we could just grab the Zafira back. We don't want to activate Trias here, and now we are summoning the Skull Guardian. And one very interesting thing is that low, everyone here, or every card here basically has multiple effects. Low has another effect that says if you ritual summon exactly one ritual monster, warrior or dragon, light ritual monster, which we are attempting to do here, with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be attributed as the entire tribute. So low, even though it's level 1, is our entire tribute fodder for our Skull Guardian here. And what is very nice here, now we have the Skull Guardian online, we have now 2 triggers. The Skull Guardian can, if this card is ritual summoned, we can add one Voiceless Voice monster, so not every card like the Barrier, but monster, or one ritual monster, so either the Skull Guardian or the Sauravis that we already have in hand. So this is a nice effect. And the low says, third effect of the low, crazy, right? If a light ritual monster, warrior or dragon is special summoned to your field while this card is in the graveyard, we can special summon this card. So we want to chain block this because this can be ghost spelled. We go 1, the low, because this is the more important effect, and 2, the Skull Guardian to search. So Skull Guardian will search now, and what what you want to search, it depends a bit on your hand. If you can, you want to search the Sauravis Dragon Sage of the Voiceless Voice, but only do this if you have at least 2 spells that you can shuffle back. Now we have only the Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, 2 spells in your hand or grave that is, but we have none in our hand. So in this case, normally the best target is the Sauravis, but in this case, I would grab follow-up in the form of a Zafira. If you would not have the Sauravis in the hand, I would grab the Sauravis now. So the first priority is this Sauravis, but only if you have 2 spells that can be shuffled back. Optimally, they would be in the graveyard, and one of them needs to be a ritual spell. If you don't have this set up, then you should go, in my opinion, for this Sauravis, because this also has a targeting protection. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, quick effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. And if you have this already, then I would grab a Zafira just for follow-up. So we are grabbing a Zafira here. Then low will be resummoned to the field, and as you can see right here, the attack of the Skull Guardian changes. If low is in the graveyard or on the field, this has double the attack, so 4,100. And now we have this base setup online where the barrier basically protects us, because our opponent can now only attack Skull Guardian and cannot target light ritual monsters with card effects. So that means that he first has to get rid of this barrier in order to get rid of our Skull Guardian or the low. And what is Skull Guardian achieving here? We have to read him for this. If this card, not this one. When your opponent activates a card or effect while you control low, the Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So this is an Omni Negate that is live as long as low is on the field. Not if low is in the graveyard, very important. So this is our base setup. This is what you can achieve with 1 low. And if we had another spell card, which in this combo we don't have it, then we could also go for our old or the new Sauravis, but I will show you this in another combo line here. One important thing to note here is that it's always nice to have this card in the graveyard. If you shuffle this back with the new Sauravis to special summon him, then it's okay, but this has a second important effect. If a face-up light ritual monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, so either your Skull Guardian or your Sauravis, if you can get him to the field, then you can activate the following effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Sauravis, the Ancient Ascendant, Zafira, Queen of Dragons, or Skull Guardian from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So if our opponent can destroy our Skull Guardian, then we can activate this one, and then we will get another Skull Guardian if we want to, or the Sauravis. This would also work if our opponent super polies, for example, and keep in mind that if the low is then again in the graveyard and we once again summon either a Skull Guardian or the Sauravis, we will once again be able to summon our low, which then once again is able to set one of these Voiceless Voice spells or traps here that are already live. So this is the base play, but what you can do now, remember we are at 3 summons now, and this is the cool thing, this deck is very nice into Nip. What we can do now, this is weak against everything that is graveyard interactive, like, oh, this is an animation, cool. This is weak against everything that is graveyard interactive, like a Bestial, removing our low, or for example a Called By. So this also is dangerous, this play that I show you right here, but this is the greedy play that gives you more upside, right? We have made a Dyna Mondo here and we are still at 4 summons, so still nip safe here. Dyna Mondo says 2 monsters including a ritual monster. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card on the field and 1 ritual monster in your graveyard, shuffle both into the deck. This can be very important in clearing your opponent's board. Keep this in mind, that this is a very important and strong effect that you can use. You can also use this to shuffle back your ritual monsters into your deck, because then you can use them once again. So for example, if we don't have a Skull Guardian in our deck anymore, we could for example not summon him, and we can also not use our prayers, but we can with the Dyna Mondo shuffle him back with the first effect. But this is not why we made him here. We made him because during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card. The quick effects, you do this in the draw phase to play around triple tactic talents. You can tribute this card, then target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard, either add it to your hand or special summon it. So let me show you how this works. We would now pass over to our opponent, and here in the draw phase we would activate turn player priority, our Dyna Mondo. Going to the graveyard, we target the Skull Guardian here, and this is what I'm talking about, right? A Called By the Grave on the Dyna Mondo would go very hard here, so it's a risky play, right? And now we can special summon him to the field, getting the animation again, which is cool. And now, because we have summoned one of these, we can once again activate our low. Low will also come back to the field, and now we can, because it's our opponent's turn, activate low, and in this case we could either set this or we could set the trap. Let's set the trap here, and now we have another interruption live, right? Because the trap says, and I can quickly show you this, we can target cards our opponent controls up to the number of light ritual monsters and destroy both this trap here and then the cards. So we activate this effect here, destroy this, and this card will also be destroyed here. And this is nice with the other spell that you have here, how is it called? I'm not quite sure, but the other card can, for example, then grab your trap back from the graveyard to your hand, but you could have also used your trap to special summon Voiceless Voice monster to the field if you wanted to do that, and then the trap would not have been destroyed. But this is another interruption that you can get on the field in this one card combo if you go for the Dyna Mondo. You can also choose to go the safe line, in which you just end up on your Skull Guardian and your low, not using the Dyna Mondo. This is also an option you have to decide for yourself. There are risks in this combo line, but I've talked about them. Let's go over into the Diviner of the Herald combo line so I can show you how this combo line works. Okay, let me show you the Diviner line now. This is the best line that we have because this has the most upside. Then again, it's a bit weaker into Nip. We go Diviner here, and now we have some options, right? If you go second, you can also choose to drop your Elder Entity and Test, because if a Test goes to the grave, we are able to destroy a card on our opponent's field. So if you don't need the Diviner to open your combo, basically, you can also send End Test. In this case, we are sending Trias Hierarchy, and then we can turn player priority, activate our Trias Hierarchy. Trias Hierarchy, for cost, tributes fairies on the field to special summon itself. So one thing that we will talk about this in a moment, that is to mention here, you can see right here, we can tribute up to 3 fairies. If we tribute 2 fairies, we can also destroy 1 card our opponent controls. Or if we tribute 3 fairies, we can draw 2 cards. This does not often come up, but this can come up, so keep this in mind. This is not what we are using this card for. We are using this card just to activate our Diviner in the graveyard, but this can come up, so keep that in mind. We have this body on the field, and now our Diviner triggers, because Diviner says if this card is tributed, you can special summon one a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck except this one. This is nice because our starter boy, or starter girl basically, is level 1, so we summon her in defense position, and now you have basically seen the rest of the combo, so let me show you once again. But this is basically the same, only that we will end up on a bit of a different infield. So we grab the Zafira. You always want to grab the Zafira because Zafira gets you the ritual spell, because she is the ritual spell, and she also grabs you the ritual monster. In this case, we want to once again would want to grab our Skull Guardian because we have him already. We grab the Sauravis though, but obviously you get the Skull Guardian if you don't have it. Then once again, like in the last combo, we can go ahead and Zafira here to summon the Skull Guardian. There's one thing that I want to mention here, right? In this case, we could once again use the low for the entire tribute of the Skull Guardian, and the low would then come back from the graveyard. There's something to keep in mind though here that you always have to think about. We could, for example, also use our Nibiru for the tribute summon here, and this would have advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, using the low and getting the low back from the graveyard is free, so this is just a free resource. We can keep our Nibiru, but always keep in mind that our opponent, if he has Bestials, for example, could then grab our low from the graveyard and remove her, and this would basically mean that we don't have access to our low anymore, and our Skull Guardian is not an Omni Negate anymore, and we can't, in this combo line, get another low to the field. So that would mean we would have nothing on the field, but would still have the Nibiru in the hand. So this is something that you always have to keep in mind. You can also, for example, tribute the Trias Hierarchy here, because this also fulfills the recommendation. So this is the most greedy play with the most upside, and tributing the Nibiru or the Trias Hierarchy is the safer play. Let's, in this scenario, because this is solo mode, let's just use the low here for the entire tribute, but always keep this in mind. You can just keep the low onto the field, because then you are safe against Bestials, or for example, if your opponent has already cards on the field called by the grave, or in Ghost Spell, for example. But obviously we can chain block this. You go 1 and 2 here once again. This time around we once again I cannot show you what the new Sauravis does. So first priority would be the new Sauravis if you have 2 spell cards. We have no 2 spell cards in this variant here. Then you would grab the old Sauravis, and then you would grab Zafira for follow-up. This is what we are going to do here. We resummon the low, which is, as I already said, the most greediest play that you can do. And now we are basically at the same point as we were last time. Keep in mind though that we are at 4 summons now, right? So we are still Nibiru proof here, and now we have a few different options that we could do. We could once again go for what I showed you in the last combo line, basically making a Dyna Mondo and then setting either the trap or the ritual, the other spell card here on our opponent's turn. But keep in mind that we would then have 5 summons here, so that is definitely a bit risky. This has to be said. If we would have another body, which at this moment we unfortunately do not have, we could also go for an IP Masquerina. This is definitely a strong play. Also keep in mind that if you make an IP Masquerina here, let's say we have the Skull Guardian and the low still on the field and you make an IP here, the IP cannot be attacked because this says that while we control both of these, low and Skull Guardian, our opponent can only attack the ritual monsters. So an IP Masquerina would be safe, which is very, very strong. So if you can get another body on the field somehow, then you can also go ahead and make an IP Masquerina here. This is also possible if we have the Sauravis that once again I wasn't able to use in this combo. I will show you this in another combo because it's important to understand. But this would be our end field with the Diviner of the Herald. This is better because we have an additional body that we can use later on. Or as I already said, you can just go into your Dyna Mondo play if you would want to do this. Unfortunately, we cannot use any of these bodies to go into an IP Masquerina because getting rid of Skull Guardian would mean low is dead and getting rid of low would mean Skull Guardian is dead. This is a bit unfortunate, but there are different options here, and I will show you this in another combo where we could do more than this. We could maybe make an IP Masquerina. We only need access to the new Sauravis, but I will show you this in a different combo. Next combo I will show you is what you can do if you have the Salamander Almiraj and the Secure Guardner in your extra deck. This is an extra combo that you can do, but you don't need to play these cards. But let's hop right over and I'll show you the combo. Okay, let me show you a cool 2-card combo that you can achieve if you play in your extra deck the Almiraj and the Secure Guardner. You can, this is very important, also play a Linkuriboh here instead of the Almiraj. This also works. What you need to have in hand for this is the Skull Guardian and a low Prayers of the Voiceless Voice. So don't be confused here. I'm using the barrier here to grab the low because we don't need the barrier to search anything else. So just ignore the barrier. It's not that important. Let's say we have the low and the Skull Guardian here because this is what is important here. So what we are going to do here is we are going to go low. We activate the low. This time around we will set the Blessing of the Voiceless Voice. I also wanted to show you this combo so you understand what this combo is trying to achieve. Blessing of the Voiceless Voice. I already said that you can get stuff back from your graveyard to your hand, but this can also, if a non-ritual monster is normal or special summoned, we can ritual summon. So with the Barrier of the Voiceless Voice this time around we didn't need to search Zafira because we already have the Skull Guardian and we already have a way to ritual summon because this is what Zafira does, right? Zafira gives you the Skull Guardian, the ritual monster, and also gives you a way to ritual summon. But we have the Skull Guardian because we started with him in this theoretical combo, and this one gives us the ability to ritual summon, so we don't need Zafira, which we normally do need. So then you make an Almiraj or a Linkuriboh here, both work. You make this. And the next thing you are going to do is you are not ritual summoning at this point because now you can, if a non-ritual monster is normal special summoned, you can now ritual summon if you want. We don't do this. What we do now is activate the Blessing of the Voiceless Voice. We can add back the low to the hand. And what we do now here is we have made this Almiraj or Linkuriboh to make a Secure Guardner here, which is just a link 1. It does nothing basically, but this triggers once again our Blessing of the Voiceless Voice. This time around we activate this because our low is back in the hand. Just imagine that there is only the low and the Skull Guardian here, and then it makes sense. We want to summon this guy and we use low as the entire tribute. So there is our Skull Guardian. And now we get the low back. Once again, I would go 1 and 2 here. Though in this case, yeah, I would always go 1, 2 because, yeah, it's very important to get this through. Normally, as I already said, this is the best one that you can get. But for this combo, you will grab the Sauravis, and I will explain to you in a moment why that is. We will get the low to the field here, and now we have our Omni-Negate live. So let's just ignore all the other cards in our hand and pass over to our opponent and hope that he plays a monster so I can show you what you can do right here with the Sauravis, which Sauravis obviously also is like a targeting negate. I already talked about this, but I will also show you what this can do. He goes normal summon, and once again, if a non-ritual monster is normal or special summoned, also our opponent does it, then we can ritual summon, which is very nice. This is what we are going to do right now. We have the Sauravis in the hand, and obviously we can use our low as tribute here. And this is cool because we not only get our Sauravis to the field, but once again, our low triggers because we have ritual summoned a light dragon or warrior monster. She comes back to the field and now she can set again. In this case, because we have started with the barrier here, we have like just used the barrier to grab our low. In the normal combo that I showed you here, you have the Skull Guardian and the low, which means you don't have the barrier here. So this is where you would grab the barrier, but you could also decide to grab the trap. If you have the barrier already, grab the trap. But otherwise, you would normally grab the barrier here to protect yourself. But yeah, you also have the trap live now, and you have 2 ritual monsters, a dragon and a warrior, which means you can activate the trap to destroy 2 cards on the field. But you could obviously also activate the trap to get one of your voice monsters to the field if you wanted to. So if your opponent can get rid of your low in any way, you can also use, let me just show you this. We need to shuffle 1 light ritual monster, warrior, dragon, or 1 ritual spell from our hand or graveyard into the deck, and then we can special or add a voice monster. So we can use and will normally use this to destroy 2 cards on our opponent's field, but we could also shuffle back our voice ritual spell here, and then we could summon the Sauravis, because Sauravis could summon another Skull Guardian, could summon another Sauravis, but we can also, if our opponent gets rid of our low, for example, summon another low, so that our Omni-Negate is live again. But this is not part of the combo. I just wanted to show you this 2-card combo, which you need the low for and the Skull Guardian. You can also get the low via your barrier, as you have seen right here, but this is what you can do with the low and the Skull Guardian. The last thing I want to show you is what the new Sauravis can do for you, because this time around we have another spell card in the hand finally that we can use for him, but we will start normally with the low. We have seen this combo already, so nothing too fancy here. We will just set the barrier. Let me just use the pre-prep here so that we already have the ritual spell and we already have the ritual monster, the Skull Guardian. So now if you wanted to, you can use this to not search the Zafira. We don't need the Zafira right here. We can also search the trap, but this isn't really important right now. So let's just grab the Zafira here. I just want to show you something else in this specific combo. Do we want to use it here? Let's use it. It's okay. We will dump another ritual spell to the grave, and then we will also get the Sauravis to the hand. Let's do this. And what I want to show you is something different here. Now the next thing we are going to do is ritual summon. You know the drill by now. We go for our Skull Guardian. We use the low on the field. Could also use the Sauravis if we wanted to, honestly. Summon him, and now in this case I always like to go 1-2 here. If you really want this search here, you can also chain block it the other way around. Obviously your opponent having Ghost Spell to negate this is less likely, so you can also do it the other way around, I think. And now what I want to show you is the new Sauravis, because new Sauravis is actually a really nice card. We get the low to the field, you know the drill, and now we have new Sauravis here. And this cat, because if we have talked about him, we have talked about every single card in this deck and what it can do basically, so you understand how this plays. You can special summon this card inherent from your hand by shuffling 2 spells from your hand and or graveyard into the deck, including a ritual spell. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, so at either point of your opponent's turn, you can return this card from the field to the hand for cost. So this can't be impermed or something. Special summon 1 light ritual monster, warrior or dragon from your hand or deck, but shuffle it into the deck during the end phase of the next turn. This is very nice, and I will show you why. So let's activate him, or let's summon him, and now we have a decision to make. We obviously put back the pre-preparation of rites, and now we have to shuffle back one of our ritual spells. And this is something that you can definitely argue about, because if this is in the grave, remember, if a face-up light ritual monster we control leaves the field, we can summon another one from the deck or the hand. So it's nice to have this in the graveyard. Then again, we don't really want to use resources from our hand, so you have to decide on what you want to do here. I normally shuffle back the one from the hand just to have the other one in the graveyard, but you can definitely decide against this. And then we summon the Sauravis here, and you might wonder, okay, what is this doing now? We could obviously now go into a Dyna Mondo here if you want to, but there's another play that we can now also do that is quite nice. Let me show you. This is also once again a bit dangerous to cards like Called By or something. We can go into an IP Masquerina with our low and our Skull Guardian here. And then we can pass over to our opponents. And you might wonder, okay, now we don't have the Omni-Negate on the field, both of them are in the graveyard. But what you can do if you have your Sauravis here, let's pass over to our opponent and hope that he activates an effect, because we need this in order for our Sauravis to work here. He activates, that's nice, and we can chain our Sauravis now. Sauravis comes back to our hand, and now we can summon a ritual monster. Ignoring its summoning condition from our hand or our deck. We want to summon the Skull Guardian here, so there is the Skull Guardian, and obviously now, because we have summoned Skull Guardian, low will be activated and we can resummon the low. And this is what we are going to do, summon the low. She can obviously now activate to set either the ritual spell or the trap. So just think about this. You could set the trap to destroy something. You could also set the ritual spell, because this means we have the other Sauravis in the hand. So if our opponent normal summons, we could then go ahead and summon this Sauravis by tributing this Sauravis, but you can decide now, do you want the Sauravis here or do you want the destruction effect? Let's say we want the destruction effect, and now we have basically our negate live again, but we have also an IP Masquerena on the field. So we can go use our negate, and then we can go IP Masquerena with our low, for example, into an SP Little Knight to have another interruption. And this is what Sauravis can do for you, because Sauravis is able to tag out for a ritual monster. So keep in mind that you can use the trap to summon any Voiceless voice monster to the field. So if you need a low, you can use a trap for that. But if you need one of the ritual monsters, you can use Sauravis for that. Obviously, we could have also ended up on the Sauravis, the low, and the Skull Guardian. And you could have used the Sauravis at this point here to summon this one to the field, right? This is also possible, right? So you don't need to go for this IP Masquerena play. You could have also gone for the play summoning the Sauravis. That would have been safer against any graveyard stuff here, because obviously, if our opponent calls Spite or low the prayers of the Voiceless voice, or he Bystials this, then we have a problem, because then if our Skull Guardian comes back to the field, low will not be summoned because she is no longer in the graveyard, right? And then our Omni negate is gone. So always keep in mind that these bonus plays that you can do here, either through your Sauravis going into an IP Masquerena or through our Dyna Mondo here, is risky because of the graveyard. So if you have something like a crossout that can cross out a called by or Bystial, that's nice, then you can go for these more like dangerous plays, you could say. But I think I've showed you everything important that you need to know to understand the deck or the basic of the deck. It's really not a hard deck. You have to understand some of the mechanisms going on, but I think you should be able with this to understand the deck. If you want to learn the deck and you see this video right now, we are live streaming right now, so come over and watch me play the deck. But if you have any more questions, let me know in the comments. If you like my video, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one, guys.